Give me a minute and let's talk about understanding Project 2025, the Presidential Transition Project. So, in this 920-page volume, even before we get to the foreword, the authors want us to understand where we're at, what work has been done, what the kind of pillars of this work are, and how we can understand the, the need to have people in place for the transition team. Specifically, of course, they're talking about Donald Trump being reelected and sworn in on January 20th, 2025, because that's their expectation of what's going to happen. And they want to make sure that they are ready to hit the ground running. The first 180 days of any president's administration, they claim, are the time to get things done. That's when you've got the most momentum. And they want to be ready. And so, how are they getting ready? Well, there's four project pillars. Uh, the book itself, The Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, commonly thought of as Project 2025. The Personnel Database, the Presidential Administration Academy, and finally, the Playbook. Let's take a look at each of these in sequence. So, according to the Project 2025 team, the Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, the actual book where they've laid this all out, is the first pillar. They claim that it puts in one place a consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreement exists, brackets out those differences for the next president to choose a path. Now, here's the thing about consensus. Consensus in a democracy depends on all voices reaching a conclusion, input from everybody. This is not input from everybody. This is input from 100 conservative organizations, ignoring everybody that doesn't fall into the narrow definition of their buckets, just ignoring their needs, ignoring the reality, even to the point of denying the existence of those people. This is not consensus. That's not how consensus is achieved. That's not what consensus means. Words have meaning. And these guys, living in their little bubble universe, have decided that their ideas are the only ideas that matter. And there is no opening for anybody else. Let's be very clear about that. There is no opening for anybody else. They are clear about it. We should be clear that that's what they mean. The personnel database. This is a particularly frightening aspect of this thing. They've already got it set up. Oracle's built it. It allows candidates to build their own professional profiles and our coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. The Heritage Foundation, since the Reagan era, has been instrumental in getting conservatives appointed to cabinet positions and government positions in every conservative Republican administration since Reagan. They are now wanting to ramp that up on an unprecedented level. According to Kevin Roberts, the director of the Heritage Foundation, they've had well over 11,000 people already registered in the database. Now, this is Mr. Roberts speaking to the Wall Street Journal in July of 2024, about 5 months before the election. And I don't know when you're viewing this, but you can guess that many more people have added their names to this database by the time you see this. What does it mean to get into the database? What does it look like to define your professional profile? Well, according to Donald Moynihan, a political scientist at Georgetown University, he has said that essentially you have to indicate your loyalty to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is all about loyalty. The next administration is presumed by these folks to be the administration of Donald Trump. Therefore, loyalty to Donald Trump is the very first thing. Assuming that you answer these questions correctly and you demonstrate your loyalty pledge to the next dear leader, you are then eligible to attend the Presidential Administration Academy, an online educational system taught by experts from our coalition. So that means everybody who thinks the way that they think. For the newcomer, this will explain how the government functions and how to function in government. For the experienced, we will host in-person seminars with advanced training and set the bar for what is expected of senior leadership. What this is a funnel for creating a whole team of conservatives who are hell-bent on implementing their idea of what America is as they dismantle the government that is responsible for all of the accomplishments that we as a people should take joy and pride in. What's going to happen to all these people in the personnel database? You may remember Donald Trump signed an executive order called Schedule F. What this did was it let him fire federal employees at will, anybody he disagreed with, like the Homeland Security professionals that were responsible for the election security of the 2020 elections. When he didn't like the fact that they wouldn't tell everybody that the election was stolen and rigged, he fired them, you may recall. Now, Joe Biden has since undone this executive order, but the reality of Project 2025 is that it would bring it back. It would bring it back so that they can staff, get rid of tens of thousands of federal employees, and then staff those positions with those in the personnel database, streamlining the appointments, if you will, replacing qualified individuals with tens of thousands of loyal Trumpers. We are forming agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out upon the president's utterance of, "So help me God." Starting first thing, day one. What did Trump say about his day one as president? That he would be a dictator? He'll start by purging the roles of federal employees, the people we depend on for our services, for the smooth functioning of government and the economy. He will purge them and replace them with his loyalists who will do his bidding. That's the practical impact of pillar number 4. So when we look at what Project 2025 has done to date, it's created an entire program for dismantling the federal government as we know it, creating a personnel database where loyalists to Trump will have access to indoctrination materials and then have the opportunity to go to work for him based not on their qualifications, but on their loyalty to him. I don't, we're not even at the forward yet, and I'm scared shitless. This is just the opening salvo. From here, we'll move into the forward, and we'll look at some very disturbing attitudes and assumptions that the conservatives who drafted Project 2025 live their lives by.